Hey, I'm delusional, so I thought I could create a huge landscape scene in Blender in only 3 days. I was wrong. The first thing I did was making the base. I feel the regular ANT landscape generator is too basic, so instead I got a height map, in this case from Motion Forge Pictures, and used geometry nodes to displace a plane with it. Fixing the messed up edges as well. Yeah, look at those erosions. Those are a lot better than what I could have gotten with Ant Landscape. Then after adjusting the scale, I'm gonna import another mountain height map using the same method, place it in the foreground, and delete all the parts not visible in the shot to be able to subdivide it more without my computer crashing. But I will place some low-res duplicates in the middle ground to make it look more mountainous. Now for the materials, I'll separately mix lots of different grass and rock textures together using noise textures. And then mix between the grass and the rock using the Z channel of the landscape's normal. I'll do some other stuff as well, like turning down the specular and increasing the bump to levels that would normally be way too strong. But I learned all this from one of Martin Nauter's videos, so I'll link it in the description. Adding a cloud gobo as well to give the landscape a bit more depth. This channel here looks like it's perfect for a river, so I'm gonna model one into the landscape. For its material, I'll use a glass shader displaced by a noise texture mixed with a white Principled P SDF that has its roughness set to 0 for some foam. Now let's breathe some more life into the scene by scattering loads of trees and shrubs. Some in the valley and close to the river, but most on the mountains. I do this using geometry nodes because it gives me ultimate control over how the trees are placed. I can prevent them from growing too high up or too steep of an incline, for example. I wanted some of these bald spots to translate over to the material, so I'll mix some rock into those places as well. Because this is getting pretty heavy, I went and decimated the plants. First on collapse mode, but then also on planar, because that way I'm able to reduce the resolution much further before they break. Now I also want a village in the valley, so I downloaded loads of houses off of Sketchfab, credits to which are in the description. I'll import them, fix their scale and decimate them as much as possible. Then I'll shrink wrap a subdivided plane to the landscape and arrange as well as delete its elements to form streets. Instancing houses on its vertices using geometry nodes. I realized I didn't want it so densely populated, so I used a noise texture to way cut down on the amount of houses. Then using a curve that I'll again shrink wrap to the landscape to add paths between all of them. Moving on to the foreground, I'll give it a rock texture. And now the 3 days I had originally given myself were over. But I still need to create the rest of the foreground, and also I think the whole render still looks pretty rough, like pretty embarrassingly bad. Before I address that last part, I'm gonna add some grass to the foreground as well as some rocks and shrubs. Tweaking their color to better match the rest of the scene. But now to fix the overall look of the render. I mainly experimented with the lighting and adding some guard rays. They took an eternity to render though, so I removed them again. Also trying to have the valley covered in fog. Because first, I thought it could look good. And second, as a way to cover up the slight lack of detail. I'm also replacing the sky with one that matches the new lighting and fits a lot better in every other way as well. And then recreating the guard rays in compositing, the look of which I actually prefer over the real ones. While in compositing, I also added a new noise type to my film emulation node group because some commenter told me it was better, which it is. You can also buy this node group for $1 on my Gumroad if you're interested. Link description. Finally, I'm going to give the scene a color grade, punching up the contrast, as well as brightening the foreground and the valley. I can't say that I'm completely happy with my scene. I'm sure I could spend another 3 days on it, if not more, but I'm sure almost every 3D artist that has some sort of time crunch can relate. So with all that said, here is the final render. Thanks for watching.